Welcome to the Bourbon Daily, the podcast about everything bourbon delivered to you every day of the week. Today on the show, we are talking with Chris Fredrickson, co-founder and distiller at Traverse City Whiskey Company. My name is McNew. Please join me in welcoming my co-host, Steve Akeley and Christi Atkinson, along with our special guest, Chris Fredrickson.
Hey, gang, what's up?
Guys.
Hey.
Howdy.
Chris, how you doing, man?
No complaints. It is a chilly day up in northern Michigan. We actually have snow right now.
Jeez.
Oh, it's almost too late April to be dealing with that. I'm so sorry.
Yes. Well, you would see snow on my for sale sign.
Right
My for sale sign would have snow on it right now is what would happen if it's...
Yeah.
I can't handle it. I can't. I'm too old for snow at this time of the year. Yeah, well, that's it. It happens to you. You guys will get there. If you're lucky, you'll get to this age in life where you can hate snow as much as I do. So.
I hate snow.
Not as much as me, apparently. Well. So, Chris, we're going to talk about your company in just a moment. Can't wait to learn more about it. But we always like to get to know our guests on a personal basis. So, if you don't mind, tell us about yourself.
Yeah. So, again, my name is Chris Fredrickson. I was born and raised up here in northern Michigan, up in a small town called Traverse City. Everybody from out of town pronounces it Traverse City. Also, everybody in Michigan, you guys have met plenty of people from Michigan. You've been to Traverse City, so you know that you will typically announce where you're from by using your hand and showing where you're at on the map. Yep. So, Traverse City, just for some perspective, if Detroit's in the southeast, Traverse City is up in the northwest lower peninsula.
Okay.
So I was born and raised up here. Traverse City is also the self-proclaimed cherry capital of the world. We export a copious amount of cherries. And I was actually, my first job was on my family's cherry farm. So we've been farming for generations, and that's kind of like the livelihood of a lot of people up here. And fast forward a few years, I attended Michigan State University, where I met my current business partners. Fast forward a few more years, made it back to Traverse City to start a whiskey company.
Cool. Yeah, we want to hear all about that, but we'll get to that in just a second. Any hobbies or anything like that outside all the whiskey stuff?
Yes, many hobbies. So one thing that northern Michigan is known for is just outdoor recreation, and that's kind of my MO. Mm-hmm. Mountain biking, snow skiing, pretty much anything outdoors all the time. Honestly, the biggest challenge as of late has been being cooped up in the distillery all day, every day with this self-isolation thing. Granted, a lot of the parks up in northern Michigan are open for limited traffic, so it is a nice break. But most of my hobbies outside of whiskey revolve around just being in the outdoors and getting muddy and dirty whenever a bike path will allow for it, or really anything outdoorsy.
Okay. All right, McNew, what do you want to know?
So is Traverse City kind of like a tourist destination? Do people go there?
It is.
Okay, that's what I thought. But
it's a big tourist destination. I always refer to it as the booze mecca of the Midwest. We have tons of wineries, tons of breweries. We're one of 4 distilleries, so it's a very common thing for couples to come up from downstate or around the Midwest to spend a weekend and just go out wine tasting or whiskey tasting and enjoy the kind of that blend of the outdoors and then booze.
Okay.
That sounds good. So I have a policy. I don't usually go north for vacation, but you could probably talk me into Traverse City.
You would not be disappointed.
All right. The booze definitely is a big appeal for McNew.
Yeah,
so,
sold.
Yeah. Christi, what do you want to know?
Well, do you think there's anything unique about Michigan that really helps with the whole whiskey production up there? Because you're not Kentucky, but I have had some very good Michigan whiskeys. It's a different style.
Yeah, it certainly is a different style. So one of the things that y'all may not love, but it's that the cold makes us different. but specifically the transition between temperatures. So our company's moniker is the Whiskey of the North. It's trademarked. And what the Whiskey of the North means to us is this is the whiskey's opportunity to endure a lot more of that expansion and contraction that comes with temperature change. So while we aren't as hot as Kentucky, we have a lot more fluctuation in temperature. Mm-hmm. And through that, we find that while we don't have as high of an we have the same entry proof, but a much lower exit proof. So typically our barrel proofs, we can't get a whiskey, or even, we make mostly bourbon, but our bourbon or a rye typically doesn't leave the barrel at greater than 112, 114 proof.
Do you ever have problems with the fish flies up there?
Well, the fish fly season is not a fun season.
Nope. I remember, as a kid, not being able to open up certain doors because they're just covered in fish flies. It's awful.
Yeah, it's kind of gross. It's a little
I can
intimidating.
imagine them on your barrels.
Yeah.
Interesting. So I always I like to ask too, in terms of a personal whiskey collection. When you're in a distillery, it's always fascinating to me. Do you drink other people's stuff? Do you, if we go to your house, would you have a lot of bottles, or do you just have hardly any and maybe just your own stuff? So tell us a little bit about what your personal collection's like.
That is a great question, and it's typically something that I only share with close friends that will actually visit me at home. I probably have 2 or 3 bottles of Traverse City whiskey at my home. And my home bar is decorated with fun bottles that I have found throughout the world. And my goal is to, I always purchase bottles that, one, that I love, but also I love having a bar where there's a lot of bottles that nobody has heard of. So most of my collection is decorated from other countries, or newer spots that are going to be huge on the scene, like New River Wilderness Trail, that aren't as popular in Michigan. So it's fun to share these forward-thinking distillers, blends or single malts or whatever it might be from all different walks of life.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that's definitely a cool take on it, and the three of us, you've got us convinced to come up to Traverse City, so we'll stop in your place too as part of the platinum package. So that'll be cool.
The door's open.
All right. What we'll do next, we're going to take a quick break, and then when we come back, we are going to talk a little bit about Traverse City Whiskey Company. We'll do that in just a few.
Welcome back to the Bourbon Daily. Today we have Chris Fredrickson, co-founder and distiller at Traverse City Whiskey Company.
Yes, we do. So, Chris, I understand you had a career in management consulting. So tell me how one doing that comes to own a distillery. Talk us through the process, how you got this company going.
Yes. So I was in management consulting for actually, you know what? Let's step back a few years.
Okay.
At age 12, I was working on the family's cherry farm. And when you're pushed into forced manual labor at a young age, you realize there's things in life you don't want to do again. So after high school, I made it a point to figure out how to kind of step away from the family farm. And management consulting is a very intriguing career. It was fun. It was, working with a bunch of bright individuals every day. And I was on the road all the time, and eventually got burned out. Didn't have much of an established community when I would come back to my home. And fast forward about 6 years, came back home to visit my parents. And my dad and I were out on our family's cherry farm and found a set of my great-grandfather's distilling patents. Wow. So after being on the road for about 6 years straight, I was looking for anything that would become a distraction. And it so turns out that my current business partners were rowing the same boat. So after I found the patents, we were all enthusiasts at the time, but we were trying to be creative in finding a way away from our corporate grinds.
Right.
So we birthed this idea of a company called Traverse City Whiskey. We, through a friend of a friend, we had sourced 20 MGP bourbon barrels that were about 4 years old. We created a brand. We figured out how to started our first distillery, get a DSP. And after about 3 years, 2 years in the market, 3 years in, we'd quit our full-time jobs. I quit my career in management consulting. They quit their careers as attorneys. And the rest is kind of history.
Yeah. So how do you learn how to make whiskey and all those type of things? Because you don't have the background that necessarily tells you how to do this. And so many times this is a family legacy business. So tell us about how you learned how to do all this.
No family legacy. Now, to clarify, my great-grandfather, his distilling patents were for distilling techniques, not recipes. Very outdated. Cat in the background?
Yeah, sorry.
McNew has an assortment of cats.
Stop.
As my 96-year-old grandmother Daphne has always said, anything worth doing is worth paying somebody else to do.
I like
So
that.
that's philosophy we jokingly have applied to a lot of what we've done. You know, being in the whiskey world, you can't really guess. You can't invest your entire life savings into something and just hope for the best. So we were also fortunate back in 2011, Michigan State had a great distillery incubator program. And so through that and through some industry veterans that came to work with us on the project, they guided us in the right directions. We simply said, this is the flavor profile that we love. Could you help us recreate it? And that was kind of the route that we learned the trade. Everything from distilling to distribution to sales to everything that goes into a distillery.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right. So, Chris, with your partners, kind of tell us the different roles each of you play.
We all do everything. Mouth to floors, marketing, sales. I mean, there's nothing that we're, too big for or too small, whatever. It's as an example, my business partner, I spent probably half the week on our line last week making hand sanitizer, but doing it so that we could find the efficiencies in the process and make more faster with our team. We're pretty much always hands-on through everything so that we can guide as needed. And it is exhausting having to learn everything about every part of every process, but it's also, rewarding, and it helps us grow faster.
Right. So I noticed that with a lot of craft distillers, especially, you guys wear so many different hats. Like one day you're distilling, one day you're maintenance, next day you're marketing. So you all three kind of do everything together.
We do. Yeah. I wish it maybe wasn't that ambiguous in terms of a day, but
right.
how it usually boils down.
Okay.
Right. You could plan your day and it probably doesn't ever go the way you think it will. So,
Yep.
So tell us about your products that you guys are making.
Yeah. So in 2012, we launched with that 4-year MGP bourbon, and that was kind of our poster child for a few years. Again, Traverse City being the cherry capital of the world, our second natural expression was a cherry whiskey, which is the same bourbon, but it's we steep Montmorency sour cherries from our family's farm into the bourbon.
We got props.
There
This
we go.
guy.
All right.
It's our American Cherry Edition. It is. It's now our best-selling product and the best-selling craft spirit in the state of Michigan.
Wow! Congrats on that. That's huge.
Thank you. Yeah, it's back in 2014 when we launched the cherry whiskey. It was just right at the peak of the flavored vodka phase, and everybody's like, we don't need another flavored anything on our shelf, and we kept wailing our hands saying, this isn't that. This is something completely different and special. And
Right.
It took a few years, but besides the cherry whiskey, we also make a rye whiskey. We make several barrel proof expressions, including the bourbon, the rye, and a barrel proof port barrel finish. And we last year released our wheat whiskey, which is 95% wheat, 5% malted barley.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Wonderful. So, Chris, you referenced your hand sanitizer production before. Can you tell us a little bit about your operation at the moment? Are you supplying local law enforcement, hospitals, or are you also supplying the public?
Yes, all of the above.
Okay.
We have one of the largest hospitals in Michigan, in Traverse City. So we're donating a ton to their efforts. Fire departments, police stations, anybody there's a lot of nursing home communities around here that have lower budgets and have the need. Also smaller hospitals, any EMTs or first responders, anybody on the front line. We've had a massive effort for donation. And aside from that, we also have we had so many inquiries coming in when we blasted one post on Facebook, and it took down our website. So
I bet.
Wow.
it literally crashed our website because of so much traffic so fast. So we realized that in order to kind of organize the channels of communication, we had to kind of redo our website, and we just launched an e-commerce website that has piggybacked on our main website that has helped to like funnel individual like customer orders, and then it allows us to then funnel all the medical personnel, first responders, any frontline individuals, and so we can take their requests and prioritize them, and then everything else gets backfilled into the kind of the end of the queue. But
that's a great tip for other distillers.
Yeah. But right now we're not even 1% whiskey. We're 100% hand sanitizer, and we're producing. I think last week we produced more than 10,000 gallons, and we'll do the same this week. And that's significantly more alcohol than we've ever produced in any given week, times like 5 as a distiller.
And that's amazing. You know, I think a lot of distilleries are in the same boat as you right now. They're pretty much 100% at hand sanitizer production, and they're fielding calls around the clock.
Yep. Yeah, we have devoted personnel for the same thing, and it's been. I mean, it wasn't an easy transition. It was actually one of the most stressful weeks of my professional career a few weeks ago. But it's pretty cool knowing that our DSP, you know, our permit that lets us produce alcohol, is putting us in this game and letting us help on such a macro level. It is pretty neat. Yeah.
Well, that's wonderful. So when we get past some of this COVID-19 madness, and I'm actually able to come back into Michigan, because I know travel's really cut down there at the moment. When I can come up to Michigan and I can get up to Traverse City, what would a tour for me be like at your distillery?
That depends when you come to visit.
Okay.
So we're one of the things that has hit us the hardest with the pandemic is construction on our new facility. So last year we ordered. So first of all, we're building a new campus. We opened our first facility downtown Traverse City, which is 2,000 square feet. It's where we have our cocktail bar, our still, and for a whiskey distillery, it's about 1/100th of what you need. And we of course figured that out the hard way, which is pretty much applies to everything we do. And fast forward a year, we grew out of it. We acquired our current facility where I'm at right now talking to you, which is where we produce. So if you came soon, this would be what we'd show you. It's where we house all of our barrels. We have our rack house, our whole production line, and then a satellite tasting room. But if you, well, depending on when this whole thing wraps up with travel bans and all that, we were supposed to open our new campus Memorial Day of this year.
Okay.
That's being pushed back who knows how long. But last year we ordered our new 24-inch Vendome column. You know, which is sitting at Vendome in Louisville right now. We have 6 8,500-gallon fermenters that are just collecting dust, which is, I mean, this is going to become kind of a campus experience very similar to Kentucky, but in the heart of northern Michigan.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah. Sounds exciting that you got all that going on. So, yeah. Yeah. So you're a destination distillery in a destination city. So that's cool.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's a bummer. Everything happens for a reason, of course,
Right.
but being this close to construction, we were supposed to break ground as soon as the ground thawed. And what are you going to do?
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what I keep saying is, life has gotten harder the last month or 6 weeks or whatever it's been. And just stories like that. There's so many of them. And all you can think, though, is despite all of that, the fact that you're there, you're healthy, and that's the most important thing. So, yeah.
Amen. Yep.
Yeah. So, Chris, in wrapping up here, what does the future hold both for you personally as well as Traverse City Whiskey Company?
Well, the future of Traverse City Whiskey, ever evolving.
Okay.
For me personally, we get asked a lot, what's our long-term play for the company? There's a lot of other smaller craft distilleries that have sold either a minority or majority stake in their company to, other brands to help incubate areas that they may not be as seasoned. Mm-hmm. And our goal as a company, which leads to my goal personally, is to hang on to the company and grow it as much as we can organically between myself and my current business partners. Mm-hmm. Kind of in it for the long haul. Love distilling. Love Northern Michigan. The cold is getting a little tiring at this point, specifically because we're trapped. Uh-huh. But other than that, there's a lot of good up here that I would encourage you guys and others to come explore whenever the time is right.
Okay.
We're just gonna keep growing. That's the plan at this point.
All right, excellent. Well, I think people want to follow this journey. Where do they need to do that? Any social media, website, anything you want to share is great by us.
Yeah, check us out on Instagram at TC Whiskey, TC like Traverse City, Facebook.com/TC Whiskey, or our website tcwhiskey.com. If you're a cocktail connoisseur, definitely check out our premium cocktail cherries. They are quite tasty. It's the goal as a craft distillery, one thing that is the most difficult, and that's to be known for something. And one thing that I believe that we're going to be known for is our cherry whiskey, which is a fantastic gateway expression, but also our cocktail cherries. They certainly give Luxardo a run for their money. They're made right here in America, and they are special and unique to Northern Michigan.
Excellent. And your cherries always make the top 5 list for cocktail cherries too.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yep. You can find them on Amazon or on our website.
Perfect. Amazon, great. Yeah. Christi, how about you? Where can people find you?
You can find me on Instagram at Southbound Lane.
All right. Miss McNew.
I am on Instagram as Miss_McNew, or if you have questions for our network, you can email me, mcnew@abvnetwork.com.
All right, for me, I'm an easy guy to find. I'm at Steve Akeley on Twitter, Instagram, or Facebook. I've got a website, steveakeley.com. We've also got a company website. That thing's abvnetwork.com. That's the one you got to check out. Everything that we do is out there. We've got over 2,000 shows out there to listen to, backlogged and ready to play. We've got our blogs, newsletters, and so much more at abvnetwork.com. McNew, anything else to say before we get out of here?
I'd like to remind the audience to please give us a 5-star review that includes comments. It helps new people find the show, which is very important to us. If you like what we're doing, we ask that you please visit our Patreon page at patreon.com/the ABV
All right, Chris, thanks, man, for joining us. We appreciate it.
Thanks, guys.
All right. For our audience, we'll have a brand new show for you tomorrow. Looking forward to that. Until then, take care, everybody. See you.
Bye.
Bye.
Ciao.
Peace.